Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of the new releases from Benighted and Choirgiant. So, only 2 albums this week that we're checking out, but genre-wise, style-wise, these are like opposite ends of the spectrum if you think about it.
Vastly different.
Like, you got something that's really heavy and kind of almost grindcore-y, and then you got something else that's a lot lighter, more melodic and clean, right? Opposite. However, still good album, still a fun day. So I'm interested, what did you start your day with?
Well, I started my day with Ekbom by Benighted. We did check out 2 singles. They were both good. And I guess if I'm gonna speak about those singles, Metastasis is crazy. I thought it was cool when we checked it out. Loved it on this record. The grooves are sick, the solo's cool, awesome riffs. Like, I thought to myself, this is a great choice for a single. Because it's by no means deceptive. The rest of the album does, like, that is what the album sounds like.
It's what you get, yeah.
It's what you get, and it's just one of the strongest songs on the record. So I think that's a great way to promote your album. Scars is still cool. Not as cool, in my opinion, but I generally enjoyed it. And there's an intro track on this album as well that transitions into Scars. I think it was a pretty good transition. What did you think of that?
I thought the intro track was good. I mean, intro tracks, as long as it's not just like obnoxious noise or something that goes on for too long, then I'm usually generally okay with it. It's a minute 18 seconds. It, introduces the album well. I think it's fine. Yeah, no issues with it.
So one thing I was a little bit worried about when I started this album is I'm like, well, I hope it's not a blast beat simulator, because the albums, extreme albums like this one, can fall into a pit of like, it's just super wall to wall, just max energy noise.
Blast beats, 5 million notes
the whole time. This album and band does not do that. And they didn't really do that on the last record as well. They had a lot of variety on that one, Obscene Repressed, which we checked out 4 years ago. This one, also a fun time in that sense. But that being said, the double kick blaster that is the intro to Morgue is sick. I loved that quite a bit. And I thought that was really cool. Another thing that was really cool, Nothing Left to Fear, which features Oliver from Archspire, which is like totally a match made in heaven. Like, I feel like both that band and this band are comparable, so it's cool to see him feature on a song from this band.
Yeah, I would say they're definitely comparable in ways and technicality and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. Oliver Ray, we've been seeing him popping up on different albums as a guest here and there, and he's one of those vocalists where you can definitely hear his distinction.
For sure.
He's got a style, he's got a cadence, and he's got a method of singing that stands out, and that's the kind of feature that you want to get on a song. So, I mean, these guys had James Yasta on their last album, which was a great feature as well. This is another great pick. And one thing I'm glad is that it's the only feature on the album.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there's not feature after feature after feature, because a lot of bands are doing that too, and I don't like that. I think that takes away from the band's performance and the album. But yeah, it was a great feature on this song, Nothing Left to Fear. It was a good one.
Another thing that stood out just from listening for the first time was there's the scream that he does in the intro of Scapegoat. Super duper awesome. Loved that. And I just kind of found myself with this album just like, oh, this is a nasty riff. Oh, this is a nasty groove. This album's nasty. Yeah. Like, I was really into it.
Yeah, on my first impression, I definitely like this album as well. And you mentioned that scream on Scapegoat, but there's actually really cool screams throughout this whole album. There's screams that almost are borderline banshee screams. There's pig squeals. There's just a good range of vocal stuff going on. And that's another thing, like you mentioned the blast beats turning some bands stale. Vocals can turn bands stale a lot too, when vocals don't have enough variety. And this album doesn't do that. It has some elements there, some factors that give each song its own kind of freshness. A couple songs that stood out to me, there was actually a few. Mother Earth, Mother Whore, which is the last song on the album. I really like this song, it's really cool. But I particularly like the beginning. It's got this, it's kind of like a talking part. It almost sounds like a doctor describing a patient. Like they're talking about the girl that's suffering from Ekbom syndrome, right? Which this whole album is basically about that, like concept or whatever. And I just like how it's kind of laid out. Like they talk about her self-harming and how she's been abandoned or her mother died or something like that. It's just really cool how it sets up the song. And then the song kicks in and then it's just awesome. couple other songs, Le Vis des Entrées, track number 4, which is really cool drum intro on that one, rad grooves. A lot of cool grooves on this album. One thing I don't like about it is they don't play them long enough. They're basically like 2 bars and done for most of them. I think there's one song they play a groove more than 2 bars, and I'm like, I wish they would do it. Like 4 bars is almost like a sweet spot, right? Longer than that, you might be going too long, but 2 is not enough. The songs are all pretty short too. You're talking about 12 songs on a 36-minute long album. So you're averaging 3 minutes a song. Not bad, but
it's a little bit on the shorter side.
A little bit on the shorter side when they're all like that. Flesh Against Flesh was really good. A Reason for Treason. So this is track number 8. I might get a little bit of flack for this, but I was hearing a lot of Slipknot energy on this song. Like Iowa era Slipknot energy. A lot of punky vibes in there too. I guess maybe more grindcore if you're genre-wise more grindcore, but it's all derivative anyway. But yeah, I was hearing Slipknot in there, man. Like, I don't know what exactly it was, but that's what my mind was going to. So overall, good first impression. My concern with it would be replay value because of its length. That would be my main concern.
That's true.
That's always a potential issue. But anyways, moving on to the second album of the days, Battle Ballads by Toyota. We did check out one of the songs, which was Axes, and that was a pretty good song. It's probably the one that stuck out to me the most as far as my first impressions, because I was listening to the album, I was going, oh, this is good, and then that came on, I was like, oh, this is a really good song, what's this? Checked, it was Axes, and at this point I couldn't even remember which song we reacted to, so I actually went back to our channel and I looked it up and I was like, oh, it was Axes, like, cool. But that just tells me that they picked a good song as a first single, right? So that was pretty good, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on this album for your first impression, so go ahead.
Well, if we're on the topic of Axes, it comes later on in the album, right?
It's track number 8 out of 10.
Exactly, so it's like just about near the end, and I thought it was good, but I kind of found myself thinking there wasn't really much different from it, because my main issue that I was finding with this album is that it does kind of get a little bit samey as it goes. So by the time you get to Axes, it kind of felt like I had heard everything already.
Yeah.
That being said, what I find cool about this album is that it's a pretty accessible one for folk metal. I feel like for people who want to get into folk metal and maybe can't jump into the deep end immediately, this is probably a good transitional or gateway band to check out, because I feel like they have that theming, but it's still a pretty straightforward kind of death metal performance, right?
Like power metal, death metal.
Actually, yeah, more so power metal, I'd say.
I'd pocket it there, yeah.
This is more of a power metal vibe, so I think it's a lot more accessible and digestible that way.
I think they might genreify themselves as Viking metal as well, if I'm not mistaken.
And I
could see that too, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, I could see that. Regarding individual songs, though, one thing I found interesting, if we're going to talk about songs with vocal performance, these ones might sound weird, but during the verses of Dragons Never Die, I was reminded of Ishan's vocals.
Okay.
So I don't know if...
I didn't catch that, but hey, whatever.
And then another one was during the vocals of Unwandered Ways, I was thinking In Flames. But I think for that one, it's because the vocal effect on this one reminded me of the vocal effects that they use on the clean vocals in Flames.
Okay.
Which makes sense. If you listen to it with that in mind, it would probably
make more sense. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, generally, I overall enjoyed it, but it wasn't like anything mind-blowing, and it did kind of feel like it got a little bit repetitive later on in the album. I'm like, okay, this is just kind of like it, but overall, yeah, it was fine. It's not bad.
Yeah, just to back that up a little bit, actually, because I kind of feel a little bit similar in a way. I enjoyed the album. Like, when it was playing, I was like, oh, this is cool, this is cool. And what I would do is I would look at, see what the song is called, and I go, okay, this is a decent song. And then it would keep playing, and then I'd go check the next song or whatever, but 2 songs had passed. And I'll go, wait a second, what happened there? Like, either this album's got super smooth transitions, or the songs all sound a little bit too similar, right? Smooth transitions could be a great thing, but if the songs are too samey, then it almost feels like they're all the same. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, no.
But either way, for mine, and I'm guessing your first time really diving into a Toyota album, I think it's fine. I mean, I didn't hate it in any way. I'll definitely give it more listens later on in the year when we're doing our year-end considerations for our top and year-end video. And I'll probably check out more albums from Toyota as well, because maybe this one's not their best outing. You never know, right? Maybe they have other stuff before. Maybe their sound's been different over the years. I don't know. This band's been around for some time, so I'm curious to know what they've sounded like in the past, is what I'm saying. But anyways, we're going to review Ekbom this week from Benighted. We decided that we both like that more, so that's going to be the challenge. And I'm looking forward to it, but like I said, I'm a little bit worried at its length. I'm a little bit worried at it being 36 minutes and this album just possibly getting old fast. But maybe there's enough there. Maybe there's enough nuance there. There's enough variety there to, you know, help it get a good score.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. We are reviewing Ekbom by Benighted. So tell us in the comments below, what did you think of that album? What did you think of Toiler? What did you think of any other releases that came out this week? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. I'm TV Fish.
I'm Vile Self.
We'll see you guys later.